Hello, it's April here, and I've got a little inking video, rolling my sleeves up because it's gonna get real. I've got a little video on inks today. So I put something out on Instagram. I asked what my next video should be, and it was to do some ink doodles, animal ink doodles, similar to these ones that I did a few days ago and I popped on Instagram. And I really love doing these. They're super simple, super fun. So I'm really glad that that got chosen. But first, I thought it might be nice to just show you my inks and how I've used them over the years before we move on to the main part of the video. So, yes, these are all of my inks. They're in a circle around me. And when I first started painting back in the day, 2017, I got really into inks. Some of these are very dusty, so apologies. But I got really into inks and I bought quite a lot of inks over the years. So these were my first set. These are the Dr. P.H. Martin's Radiant Concentrated Watercolor. And there's quite a lot of colours. Some of them I like more than others. My favourite is Persimmon. My favourite, that's a lovely one. So these are very vibrant and very bright, and we're gonna go back in time to, let's have a look, 2018. This was my watercolor journal. This is a little sticker from Harriet Julia Art, and my goals were to practice. And so yes, let's see. I'm just gonna skip. So I got my inks here, you can see I got them, and I was practicing colour mixing, making little gradients and marks and things. And then I basically just messed around with them. I think at the time I was really getting into negative space, like paintings, people that they would paint backwards, but basically you paint one layer and then you go back and you paint another layer, you go back and you paint another layer, you go back and you paint another layer. And I was getting really into that, so I did lots of practices. This one is without the lines, so you can kind of see. I think I did this one in watercolour though. Very bright, very colourful, and I was just kind of playing around, testing them. And next up, I have these, which are a little bit different. These are the Liquitex acrylic ink muted colours, and I think I actually got these after watching Bai Bun. She was using these at the time, and I really like them. They have beautiful colours, and they are acrylic rather than watercolour. So I have this box of like loose paper stuff that I've painted on over the years, and I used these muted inks to do my first Inktober, which was, I called it Endangered Inktober, and it was basically all endangered animals. And I used the muted inks and gold ink to do these. And yeah, I think this is like a beautiful colour palette. It's extremely muted. And I did all of these with a brush. So back when I was first using ink, I used a paintbrush, just kind of like you would use watercolour. And yeah, that's the muted inks. So also over the years I've picked up a few different ones. These are my Ecoline. I got these after watching a lot of Franard back in the day, and she used these too, so I picked those up. And also I got a set of Ecoline. I don't really need these after having the P.H. Martins. I also have a whole bunch of the Winsor & Newton inks. I think I got one set, and I think you can get two sets. So I got these, they're all coloured, kind of like coloured watercolour again. And last but not least, I have the black ink. So I have one acrylic ink, and then I have this one here, which is, it says Indian ink. And I don't think it's maybe water based, but it definitely does not go very well. It's quite difficult to use with some of the pens I have. So my second foray into ink was for my second Inktober, where I did the story of Belle and Bear. She's a child paranormal investigator, and she helps the ghosts of lost pets find their owners to say goodbye before they pass. So this was a story I did in, I think it was 2019, and I did it all in ink, and I wrote a little story that went with it, and I had a zine and everything, and I really want to bring Belle back to life again. She's like, I really like her as a character, and I think the idea of having a child paranormal investigator is really fun. But I did all this too in brush. So I did brush just like a normal like watercolor, but with ink, and then I did all the outlines with pen. So I'm still not using ink pen here, but I do get into it a little bit later. I give it a good go. The first pen I tried is this one. It's like a typical dip pen, and I don't like it. It's very scratchy. I don't like it. The second one I tried was this glass pen. Actually, this is my second glass pen because I smashed the first one by dropping it into a glass of water. But this is a glass pen. I like this one a little bit better than this one. It's still scratchy, but it is quite fun to use. I don't think I've ever used this. I really got into using the glass dip pens, and then I broke mine, and I just got a replacement one, but I never actually used it. Because at the same time as I bought my replacement glass pen, I got these bad boys, the bamboo dip pens, and these are my absolute favourite for using inks. So I got these, and it was about last year. I hadn't really had a good play with them, and then Burbfest came around in, was it January or February? Like super simple sketches, literally so fast, so derpy. I used the bamboo dip pens, and I also used the Winsor & Newton ink, which is I think a watercolor, like a liquid watercolor. And maybe some of you saw these on Instagram when I was popping them on. I had to do them on every other page because this paper is really thin, and they're kind of sticking together now, which is unfortunate. But yes, that's what I did. I used the bamboo dip pens. You don't really have much control over them. Like, you do have control, but sometimes ink will drip. Like, sometimes you'll smudge things. It's just super fun to use. So this is definitely my ink pen of choice right now. It's the bamboo dip pen. So one thing I've learned with the bamboo dip pen, it works really well with the liquid watercolor. So for example, these Winsor & Newton ones, the PH Martins, and also the Ecoline will all work with them. But anything like acrylic or thicker, so this Indian ink and both of these acrylic inks, it doesn't work very well. It seems to kind of, you dip it into the ink and it just stays here, and it doesn't seem to run off at all. So if you want to get into bamboo dip penning, definitely recommend some liquid watercolor. So those are my inks. Now let's doodle some animals. So I did ask for ideas a long time ago, like last month, but I did take a whole bunch of screenshots of them, and I'm gonna do this one by Brenny Bond, dogs, swans, frogs and ducks. So I think I won't do dogs on this one, but I'll do swans, frogs and ducks on the same page, and that will be a nice little aquatic page. So I've got a little bit of water here. I've got a paintbrush just in case, some tissue to wipe my pens with. I've got a few pens. I'm probably gonna not use Big Boy, but I'll use these two. And then for the colours, ooh, sunshine yellow, that looks nice. Probably like green, blue and yellow. Yeah, like on this one I just did one colour, but sometimes it's nice to shake it up a bit and have different colours. Right, let's get a new page. And the sketchbook is the Jackson's Arts watercolour sketchbook. It says it's 24 by 20 centimetres, 120 pages, 160 grams, and 35% cotton. I don't know if that's good or bad, really, honestly, no idea. Let's get going. So I'll start with blue first. And okay, I haven't opened this for so long, it's stuck. And then literally the best thing about dip pens is that you can just draw without any, like, no fear, because it probably is not gonna all turn out good. Like, there's gonna be some mistakes. Things are gonna look super derpy. It's kind of like just drawn with a pencil, I guess, or a pen straight up. But with the dip pen, I guess there's more there's like a little bit more chance of error, because you can have the drips, you can have too much ink on the pen, things like that. It's really fun to do, so if you haven't done it before, you can probably just do it with a stick too, I reckon. The bamboo pens, I think they're meant to have a little hole in, or a little something to hold the ink so it keeps flowing. I do find them a bit difficult sometimes to get the flow going, and you have to kind of tilt your brush different ways to find the inky side of the pen. And one of the best parts about using the ink is watching how pretty it is as it goes into the water. So I always try and dry it so I don't get any extra water into the ink, and then I'll normally use like one side for one colour, one side for another colour. So let's do yellow. I'm not sure how strong this is going to be. We'll do yellow for the duck bill. So yeah, that looks, okay, I don't know if you can see this. It does not look healthy. It looks like something's happened to the ink. It looks a little bit lumpy, a little bit brown. I'm not quite sure if this ink is good anymore. Can ink go off? Ugh, it's like kind of gross. Yeah, it looks really dirty. I don't think this ink is healthy anymore. Oh, which is a shame. I don't know what must have gotten into it. Okay, it's very thick and has bits on it and bits in it. Yeah, I don't think that colour, I think something's happened to it. Something must have gotten into it. So I don't really use the ink for colouring in at all. I have done in the past, like you can literally just take the bamboo pen, you can take the bamboo pen and you can just scrape it like this. You can get some cool textures too, like if you're scribbling, and then obviously they can blend, like you can smush it into the blue here, like if you wanted to. I don't really do this. I normally keep my doodles just line art. But it's quite cool for something different, I guess, because this is way more involved than I normally do. Normally I just do a line art. So let's just do that instead. I actually have a whole sketchbook that I have to finish. It's when I got into doing ink stuff with my original pen, which is like the original dip pen. It's made of metal. It's very scrapey and I didn't like it. But I started this sketchbook and I really wanted the sketchbook to be all ink based drawings. So I did interiors and it was actually really fun. I got super into it. I did about maybe 10 or so, and then I just kind of stopped. You know, you go through like periods of enjoying maybe a medium or a subject and then you just stop. It was kind of like that. But yeah, I would like to get back into it. Maybe I can use the bamboo pen instead, because the bamboo pen is definitely more fun. You see here, this is really a thick line, but this is a much thinner line. So I think it's because this green almost feels a little bit thinner than this blue. This blue does feel a lot thicker, and then maybe because it's getting to the bottom of the pot, it's kind of like viscous almost. I don't know if I can mix some water with that and help it out a bit. But yeah, I've honestly had these inks for so long, probably for at least since 2018. So I don't know if ink goes off. If anyone knows, let me know. Maybe I need to buy some new inks. But you can see how thick, almost how thick this is compared to the green, which was like quite luscious. All right, I've lost my duck. I started drawing a different duck instead. Another fun thing you can do is change the colour up. I did this on my burb vests quite a bit, where I would start in one colour and then I would go to another colour. I'm going to get out my PH Martins because I think this blue has definitely thickened up a little bit. It's quite hard to ink with. I'm going to use this True Blue. I don't know, I think it's a little bit lighter. Radiant Concentrated Watercolor. And I would say one scary thing about using ink, especially when it's in open containers like this, is I'm a very messy person. I don't know if you've ever noticed this about me. I tend to spill things, I get paint everywhere. Yeah, I'm a bit of a mess, but I'm always a bit nervous when using ink like this, because I definitely would, you know, drop it. I would definitely spill it. I'm gonna switch over to frogs just to change things up a bit. And I'm on Google, but it's giving me pictures of like toads and stuff and like tree frogs. I really don't like drawn frogs. I know some people love drawn frogs and toads. I feel like it was a huge trend like last year. Everyone was drawing frogs and I just refused to jump on the bandwagon because I can't draw them. I find them so difficult. Maybe I should just draw them more. But it doesn't matter, because when I'm using my dip pen I can make everything bad, and then if it turns out cool, I'm like, yes, I'm just so good at inking. And if it turns out bad, it's because inking is so hard. I can basically just blame it, or you know, I can take the praise or the blame and put it on the same thing. I also do this thing, not on purpose, but I do this thing where I kind of forget to like clean the pen off, and now I have ink on my hands. It's fine. It just shows that I've been hard at work drawing, you know. Alright, so I drew this froggy, and I drew him really with fat fingers. And I don't, oops, look, see? Blame it on the ink. So I drew this froggy and I did him with really fat fingers. I'm going to try again, but instead of drawing the fingers, I'm going to do like little lines. See if that works. Let's try and find another picture of a frog. So kind of like this instead. I don't know if that works. It kind of looks like a skeleton now. Oh guys, frogs are so hard. Please tell me I'm not alone in not enjoying drawing frogs. Switch over and do his little rock green. Right, let's go back to a nice simple subject. Swans. I'm going to try and draw this swan over here and try not to get my fingers, my hands and anything. Ooh, this is a cool one of a swan. I got this really cool picture of a swan like in mid, almost like he's jumping out of the lake or whatever, in like mid hop. Be a little bit tricky to draw. Let's just see if we can do it. So I do find one thing about using the dip pens is it helps you stylize things. So you just have to like look at the shapes rather than focus on the detail. That's what I found when I was doing Burbfest. I found that the first sketches I did on Burbfest were quite tight, but then the more I got into it, the more I kind of learned how to stylize them. This is very difficult. There's like these wings and the feathers get bigger and bigger as they come out of his body. I'm gonna run out of ink. It's pretty cool though, a bit different. Does it look like he's jumping? Okay, so I feel like this is definitely, like, I'm finding that I'm getting the groove a little bit with this one. It's a lot easier to draw the lines, and maybe I just needed a little bit of a warm up before I, like, kind of, because this first one here was a little bit, you know, I didn't really like it. And then I was just warming up the frogs. I'm not a big fan of, because I don't like drawing them. But yeah, I feel like I'm getting warmed up now. My hands are covered in paint, so that's always a good sign. Let's have a look at some more frogs. I have no idea what that is. I'm lost for words on what this creature is. It's a frog, I promise. Do you think I can fit a duck in, like, here? I hate leaving this, like, weird gap in between the pages. Like, it looks like you haven't thought about how to fill in the page properly, and there's just this horrible, like, gap. Well, he's got a fat neck, this one does. Can you hear the donkeys? Don't know if you could hear them, they're very noisy. Alright, this one's got a little bit of a strut on. There we go, that's fine. So that is just a little page of doodles. There's still some room, but basically what I've been doing is I've just been filling them up with, like, stars, because I don't know why, I just started doing this in Birdfest and I'm, like, obsessed with stars now. And it just fills up the space. I did try other shapes too. I tried lines and I don't know, like triangles and flowers, but stars are the best, and they're really fun to draw with the dip pen too, especially like now when I can't put my hand down on the page because I'll smudge everything. Alright, well, we got ink on the page, we got ink on my hands. That was the first page of doodles. But I'm not really happy with how it turned out. I think it's because I was talking and I wasn't really paying attention, and I was sticking my fingers everywhere and I was drawing frogs. So I'm actually going to wait for this to dry, and then I'm going to draw another page. Let's have a look at the list. So I think I'll do another couple of pages of animals, and then I'll either speed it up or I'll just show some clips. So yeah, you can see like different, because I didn't really like how this page turned out very well. Voiceover April here to take away the rest of the video. I don't know why I always get nervous doing voiceover. I think I've mentioned this before, but I thought if I just keep mentioning it, maybe I'll be less nervous. Who knows? So for the second page of the doodles, I wanted to do giraffes. It was another suggestion, and I have been meaning to test out my ink to see how it works over the top of other materials, because I really would like to use the ink more in my mixed media. And I have tried it in my sketchbook in the past on kind of just random doodles, but I thought this would be a good little exercise, and maybe it would be interesting to see how they go on for you guys too, maybe if you want to do something like this. So this also isn't, again, it isn't the prettiest page at the end. I don't know why when I'm filming things just get a little bit messy. I'm sure I've heard other people say this too, that filming for videos, it kind of puts them off their game a little bit and they're thinking about, oh, someone's going to watch this. I don't normally have this problem, but I think it's because I haven't really done an art video for a while. I've just been doing vlogs, so maybe I got a little bit anxious, but it's all good. So this first material is a soft pastel, and I've been really wanting to try to use the soft pastel more. I got it a while ago and still kind of struggling to fit it into my work. It's a very different medium that I'm used to, but I quite like this. When I was actually putting the ink on top, it almost felt like it was soaking into the pastel, like the pastel was a sponge, and a lot of the ink kind of just splooged into it and made a lot bigger lines or dots than I was expecting. But when it dried, it actually had a really lovely texture. So I would like to use this again in the future. I think next time I will wait more than 10 minutes for it to dry, and I'll probably wait like a day, maybe half a day. But yeah, this was the soft pastel. I think these colours are really beautiful. The second material I tried was a paint pen, and I thought this would be a little bit trickier than it was, but actually it worked out pretty well. I have two more yellow giraffes on the right there that I'm going to do in a second. I was worried because I thought the acrylic paint pen would be very thick and glossy and the ink would just kind of float over it. But this yellow one had a little bit less paint in the pen. I think it was a bit drier than some of my other juicy paint pens. It worked really well, went onto the paint pen very nicely. And then the other material I have there is I skipped that crazy giraffe head in the top left corner there. I do not know what I was doing there, but that is a coloured pencil. And then the one that I'm doing now is a Tombow, and this worked really well as well. I've actually really been enjoying using the Tombow lately. I did a few doodles last night in my sketchbook after doing this page actually with Tombows and coloured pencil, and I think just the Tombow itself and I guess water-based markers in general, they're a really nice medium that I would like to get into more in the future. I used to kind of push them aside because I didn't really like the texture, and I thought when I first started using them that you needed to blend them like some Copic artists do, but just for little doodles and shapes and blobs and filling in the backgrounds of things, they work really well. So at the end, I wanted to try and add some bushes and some trees and kind of situate the giraffes a little bit better on the page because a lot of them seem to be floating in the air. And I have been using the ink like this to do kind of skeletal branches in some of my mixed media sketches in my sketchbook recently. And it does like seem to go really nicely, especially over the soft pastels, which I showed a bit earlier. So I'm just doing some little tweaks and some scribbles, and then I'm going in with a couple of other materials that are on the page. This lovely, I can't remember the name of it, I think it's just orange, and later on the yellow paint pen. So that was my ink doodle video. I was just meant to be doing just simple ink doodles, but I kind of turned into a little bit of an experiment and a practice test session. So I hope that you liked it and maybe you can take something away from it, like how the materials go together or even the different types of inks. I hope that you enjoyed the video and I will catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.